So I'm Avis. I work for Luxasia. We're beauty products and luxury lifestyle. We're in 11 countries. We've got 3,000 doors. We've got over 100 stores across the region. And we work with brands such as Coty, Burberry, La Prairie. Our biggest brands in Indonesia is Benefit, Issey Miyake. Today I want to talk about customer experience. And customer experience is different for everyone. Customer experience is different for all of us in this room. We all have different tolerances. We all have different needs. My business represents over 100 brands. The brands have different ways of working with customers. We work from masstige to prestige, and they have different rituals, different services, and their customers have different expectations. So anyone who works in customer experience knows it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig to keep everybody happy. If we look at how consumers are at the moment, and just try and look at some general ways of how consumer trends are working, we know that broadly we've got the millennials and then we've got the baby boomers and Gen X. And the way people are purchasing and getting information and experiencing is changing. We know that customer experience has changed a lot because of mobile technology. We know that content is king. We really know that customers expect to be treated like individuals and not treated like idiots. So how do we take this whole diverse group of people and create experiences that work for everyone? You'll have seen lots of stats. I saw some great stats yesterday from our colleagues at Zendesk and from Wavecell and various other places. We've all got stats. So first of all, why is it important? What even is this thing? So for people who are new to customer experience, it's every touch point you have with consumers. And when you think of yourself as a consumer, you can look at what's happened in the last 2 days. Where have you been? What's that felt like? So I stayed here last night. I checked in yesterday. There was a great check-in experience. I didn't queue. The person was polite. They had my reservation. It felt like it was a good place to be. I've worked in other places where it's been tough to check in, where you queue for a long time and then when you get to the desk, the person picks up the phone because it rings. To me, that's a terrible customer experience. That's the point where if I'm with my husband kind of steps back and he crosses his arms and he goes, big mistake. That's a big mistake. Because it's just something that infuriates me. Queues infuriates me. So every part of the customer experience is everywhere that you engage. Everything that a customer does, going into your store, coming to the web, actually getting the goods deliverable, the returns process. For us customers, we don't care how hard it is. We just want you to join that all up and make it great. We've looked, and there's lots of stats again. Does customer experience pay? Yeah. Customers who like your experience, they come back, they spend more. You can find many, many stats on this, but the answer is everybody agrees that yes, customer experience gives return customers. It gives customers who buy one more thing in basket. It gives customers who promote and talk about your brands. They can pay more for good service. Now, the issue with people who pay more for good service is if you give them bad service and you don't resolve it quickly, they will go. And it makes no difference whether they loved you yesterday or not. They will judge you by the last interaction. And when you've had a bad customer experience, that's the point when they go to your competitors and you've lost them. So resolving bad customer experiences must be paramount to any loyalty scheme you have. In fact, if you resolve it quickly and to customer satisfaction, customers who've had bad experience can become your most loyal because you solved a problem for them. And that's absolutely key. So why is it all changing? 10 years ago, it really wasn't like this. Well, there's a load of trends going on in the market. The smartphone is our friend. We love it. We see people in store doing their research, checking their prices, working out, talking to friends, reading reviews. People travel more. People travel and are used to different ways of service, different brands, and there becomes an expectation. And your competition is key. And your competition isn't just in the segment that you're in. I think our competition when it comes to customer experience is Amazon, is Uber, is Apple, because they reshape customer experience. If you go into the Apple store in Singapore, where I live, there's not a till, you don't queue to pay. You talk to someone who's a genius, they're not even an advisor, they're geniuses, and they solve your problem and they take your payment. This is the new world. So if you define yourself by what you do and what your competitors do, you may be a little bit too siloed for how your customers are thinking. So customer attitudes are king. If we look at how Asian consumers trend, very, very wonderful customers who hate bad experience. They will pay more for good experience and they will leave for bad. Particularly for unresponsive customer experience. Some Asian customers love to be told about more things. I wouldn't say it's always down to nationality. I'm British. We naturally don't like being talked to in shops. We desperately don't like being followed around in shops as a general rule. But sometimes we really, really want service. It's about seeing the signals of that person when you're in store, and it's about providing an easy checkout and an easy experience to get information when you're online. So everything has to happen. There is no single answer for this. So I'll give you some examples about how we at Luxasia think about customer experience. Some of these will be relevant, some will not be relevant to your organizations. But I'll give you some things to think about, and this is what we think. There is a e-consultancy paper which is very strong on helping with customer experience strategy. There's also a webinar that myself and some of the e-consultancy guys did. If you go to LinkedIn, you'll find it. If not, if you want to find it and can't, drop me a line on LinkedIn, I'll point you to it. And I'm using some of the stats in there. So thank you to the e-consultancy team for letting me use these today. So the first thing is, who's responsible for customer experience in your organization? Now, it's very easy to say, oh, everybody is. Because yes, everybody is. The people in the warehouse are responsible for making sure the goods get out. The people in store are responsible for talking to the customer. Demand planning are responsible for making sure we've got the product in stock. But who's the person who does this for a living? There are lots of different answers to this. I would say none of them are right or wrong. It depends on your organization. In Luxasia, I'm the mouthpiece of the customer. I represent the customer in the room. And when we're talking and we're very aware of our brilliant brand and our wonderful people, we have to remember our end customer. So in mine, my team are a consumer team. That's how we do it. It doesn't matter whether it's your CMO, your marketing department. It doesn't matter where you put it, as long as the organization recognizes that that's where it is and that they can influence and can work across the organization. I'm very privileged. I get to work with every country. I get to work with every team. I get to see the fabulous things we do in different countries and what approaches we get. And if somebody cares, it becomes more joined up. So the first thing to do if you're looking at customer experience is work out who's accountable for this stuff, who's the person who's going to make it happen. What drives it? It depends what you do. If you're a web company, then your web experience drives it. If you're an online and offline company, then it's the combination. For us, we think it's the gaps and closing the gaps that joins it all together. And you have to think across the whole process. So would I say what drives it? Yeah, all of those things on that graph drives it for us. And we have to think of where we start. It's very easy in customer experience to try and cover everything, and then you do nothing well. So we have to focus. So this is how we think about it. We think about consumers and a single platform of affluent Asian customers who want to buy prestige and masstige products. We think this all joins together into a single customer view. And to me, this is data, and it's so important. You need to see every interaction that customer has in store, online, on social. Because if you can see that, you can see where the customer is, whether they're happy, whether they're buying, whether they're leaving you, whether they're part of your loyalty scheme. We believe in KPIs. If you can't measure it, you can't do it. Otherwise, you're just kidding yourself, it's good or it's bad. So for us, we have a single place where all of our customer data is kept, and we look at the data and we look at the analytics very regularly, because it tells us things we wouldn't know if we just looked at it at a single brand level. Our customers buy multiple brands. They're not just a customer of this brand or that. Our customers work across our brands, and we need to make sure we understand that. We think omni-channel is key. Omni-channel is key because it joins it together. It joins it together where the customer comes into store or into e-com, or when we're trying to deliver it, or when we've got a problem, or when the supply chain doesn't work. When that fails, we get unhappy customers. And anyone who's tried to do omni-channel will know how hard it is, because customers now hit you from any angle. They hit you from any demand, and you have to think about how it works. So this means real tech join up. We think content's key. Content is how people engage with your brand, understand your brand survey. We think content has changed. We don't write much anymore, do we? Our customers like videos, they like tutorials, they like to engage, they like to share. So this content, this ability to capture eyes and to keep them and to make it readable, to make customers want to join in, that's really key. Customers' expectation on content has changed and service has changed, and we think that's really key. And we think data and KPIs are key. We use Net Promoter Scores. And it's a standard way of benchmarking ourselves against the whole globe. We also use that data to explain to in-store people how happy customers are, how well they're servicing. We don't actually use Net Promoter Score to talk to our in-store people. How do you explain a plus 27 or a minus 3 to an in-store person? We do averages out of 10. But I do think that you have to measure, otherwise you think you're doing well. And when we get detractors, so people who rate us 6 or less, we have remorseless follow-up. We have to understand what went wrong. And where we get passives, they're the people who can go either way, we have to understand how to push them up. Because the promoters are the people who go out tonight and they tell their friends about a fabulous Luxasia brand and what a great service and what a great product. And they are the people who bring other people to our brands. And that is so important. So anyone who's a detractor damages your brand and damages your customer experience, not just for them, but their friends and their friends of their friends. Boy, then they tell everyone. So, if you're new to CX and you come into this role, first of all, I hope you see every small thing that works and doesn't work. So I think the foreman's been great, but I do think their bottle opener is far too close to their shampoo, because this morning I gouged my arm on it, and I think they should have it the other side. It's little things like that, that if you're in CX, you have to see. So look at the whole journey. Travel it as a customer. Don't kid yourself, it's great, because there are small things that affect that customer journey. Make sure when you're looking at customer journey, you understand it across all the channels you work within. It gets complex, but follow your customer journeys and you will see how great that customer journey is and how you can improve it. But remember, you do not have to give the same journey to everyone. It depends on your brand and what the customer expectation is for that brand. But remember, customer expectations are high. So that's it. That's what we do in Luxasia.